Everybody, welcome back. Got a little bit of a different video for you than you're probably used to if you're frequently in this channel. It's kind of a vent video with what's going on with the game, some things I'm seeing, some potential stuff coming up. I had a tough week-ish, 2 weeks with trying to get a computer built, not really knowing them. Thanks for Yeti, Lan, and Punk for helping there a bit. Got some drama with the RTX 3080, trying to get that thing. Anyway, I'm now getting my head back, getting some sleep. So I'm gonna do some videos. First one is event one. Where are we heading with the game? Let's check some things out. I'm a little bit worried about, we're gonna repeat some things that happened last year.
Bring me WolverThor!
So one of the things that I'm going to start with here is war, right? So you just look at the activity that you get in war, and it's a lot of work, right? So you're just going through war, and it's 3 days a week. Depending on how intense your alliance is going to show or really determine how much it's a burden on you, right? So if it's a big burden, it's kind of like, okay, this is a lot of time in game. I don't know if I do I have time for a lot of other things? How much stuff do I need to do with war and then all these different game modes, right? So war to me, it's using a Scopely term is the apex game mode, right? And if this is the apex, like kind of, game mode that we care about the most, all right, then how much time do I have for other things? I don't know, right? So this being the game mode that we're gonna put a lot of time and efforts into. Okay, so it's like, all right, well, what are we doing here, right? So this is the game mode where I'm kind of like, I've got to put a lot of time in here, right? And then if you care about your alliance, if you want to go intense, if you think this is a big deal, all that kind of thing. If you don't, it's probably like, whatever. And I know plenty of alliances that are just kind of like, you know what, I am not going to worry about this thing anymore. It's too much time, it's too much leader, right? So I had to start with war because as the apex game mode, it's got it, I mean, depending on what your perception is, but that's what I'm saying from Scopely, that you got to know, like, what else is kind of going on, right? So starting here and knowing kind of what I saw last year in Q4 of 2019 is that there was a lot of turnover in the game. And you saw it kind of with different alliances and different things, just people getting burnt out, people, saying, look, I need to go more casual or getting sick of the game. You saw the turnover in the Exodus, right? They were just tired because the quality time in game wasn't there. They got burnt out. And I'm worried that we're seeing that again. I in the last few weeks, and before I get into the last few weeks, I watched the numbers last year for just my alliance, and this peak was crazy. And there was nothing we changed in alliance. It was kind of like, this is nuts. And I started talking to other alliance, leaders, members, people, and just wherever. And they were saying the same thing. Oh man, the turnover we've got is nuts. Everybody's leaving. They need to go more casual, blah, blah, blah. And I'm seeing the same thing now, where I'm talking to alliance leaders, people in different alliances, just saying like, they've got 3 people who are just kind of just throwing in the towel or just quitting or turning over and just causing problems with their alliance because people still want to start, go hard or whatever. And I just remembered last year, like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So a lot of stuff's going on in game at the moment, but one of the things I want to show you guys before I kind of get into that is this article that I came across from Scopely and some funding. It's from Bloomberg, so reputable magazine, article, or paper, whatever you want to call online distribution of news information. There was a deal here talking about Scopely looking in funding for $3 billion, right? And that's huge. This is venture capitalism stuff, business, basically, companies, especially a lot of tech companies they try to get funding from people who want a return on their investment. So Scopely is likely looking to, show whoever they're going to get this funding from a bunch of good stuff. Look at this engagement. Look at how much people are in game, how much money they're spending, all these different things they're doing. And I just got on my phone my alert that was kind of there it is. Whereas how much time I've spent in game the last, week. And I'm just like, oh my God, Oh my god, like really? Okay, that's an unhealthy amount of time. You know, I get it. So I think about this deal for a second and everything that's happening in the game, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a second. I'm going, okay, so it is Scopely's incentive right now to show these metrics. One of them, like I mentioned, being, you know, time in game engagement, but also retention. And if I'm thinking about, if I'm a VC, venture capitalist, who's looking to fund something like this, I'm going to look at how many people we brought on lately, what's your retention like, what's your engagement like, and what are people spending, and how long have they been spending that money, and is it continue to happen? Do you keep them engaged? You know, and I'm sure there's some fall off at some point, but you look at those metrics. So I think what we're seeing right now potentially is an attempt to make sure that Scopely and Marvel Strike Force are showing active engagement from players, that they're in game a lot while they try to get this funding. So I cannot blame them for that, but I want to talk about what's happening within the game to see what's really going on here. So, you know, some of the stuff we talk about, BLITZ, it's like, okay, you know, I'm at about 17 mil, and I just couldn't do much more in this. I am so burnt out on this game mode. I'm just sick of it. You know, I have to give Scopely credit for making some changes to it. I think it was primarily a bot change. The 8 free refreshes or free non-chargeable, I think it needs to be lowered to like 4 at the most, because if you're going to do so many other things in game to try to get our engagement, BLITZ needs to come down. 8 doesn't change anything. For me, I'm still blitzing as much as I want. The scores are lower, but I'm still in the game the same amount of time. So I'm not loving that change on a quality time aspect. And then we've got this, you know, events, this verse battle, you know, where it's kind of like, okay, you know, and that ties into this Doctor's Order thing where you get scoring from opening these orbs. And if you, you know, from the hunting grounds, you get these credits that help you open orbs, right? So I'm going to show up. I shot another video shortly before this that I got my audio kind of screwed up on that part of it, but I'm going to show this part of a PvP battle so you can see in the background how long it's taking, right? And it's just me just playing while I'm talking to you. Okay, like I mentioned, the video is behind me. You can, you'll see there's a double up here. Like I mentioned, my sound was all jacked up for that, so the audio wasn't worth it. So anyway, you basically see me going through this process. At this point, I'm talking about, you know, how this thing can take so long, but luckily, you know, I'm playing against someone named Bad Plum here, who luckily we both, you know, we're aware enough, like, we don't want to waste a bunch of time here, but so we'll ban just trash. Now, when he picked Colson, I thought, whoa, maybe he doesn't necessarily even want to win, he doesn't care. But, you know, Coulson isn't a terrible PvP character. And then he picked Black Ball. I'm like, okay, he's actually going to he or she's going to play decently. And so I was just like, all right, I'm talking. I'm saying, all right, well, I'm just going to pick characters I generally don't know are decent. I'm not going to really focus on, you know, specific counters outside of just people I think are good. I'm just watching, and I want to go as fast as I can. And you'll see, you know, how long this thing still takes. And you've got to do this thing, you know, a number of times to try to get the milestones done. And this is daily. So we've got all these different things going on in game, and right now we've got this one too. And it's kind of funny. I'm like, hey, you know, look, is it weird seeing two of them? Anyway, so Bad Plum and I go through this, you know, and it takes a little bit for them to necessarily pick, but this is about as fast in my mind that this thing can go. You know, you can't go a whole lot faster than this in my mind when you're playing something. Sometimes people are taking the entire, you know, you see that 26 seconds there right now. They're taking that entire time to figure out exactly what they want to do. And for me personally, I think this PvP game mode can be very successful. And the thing that I've been preaching to Scopely via the Envoy program and etc. is that, look, you want this thing to be successful, then you need to find ways to reduce downtime for other things in game. So what is that going to be? You know, what are you going to do to actually reduce that time? And you can see I'm even here in my thing. I'm like, who do I want to ban? I was thinking about Black Bolt because of Ultron. I was like, nah, you know what? I want to get Sinister out of there so he can't copy anybody that I find decent. So we're at about 2 minutes here of just the draft mode, maybe 3 minutes depending when it actually started. And it's like, okay, this is 2 to 3 minutes of just drafting, and this is a fairly quick draft. Not super slow, but it's fairly quick. I was making some comments how I couldn't find Loki in there, but I'm learning my alphabet a little bit better at this point because that's the way they're sorted. And honestly, that's probably the best way to have it sorted so that you can be pretty consistent through finding someone here. And then the load time's not terrible as far as getting in the match, and then the match itself, it just depends. The person can say, take off 15 seconds, they could take a while to load, whatever it might be, right? So I feel, and I hope the article that I was talking about, I hope that after this, the funding and figuring out exactly what is going to, the money that they're going to get, that they being Scopely is going to realize, okay, we've got the engagement we want, we got the funding we need. Now let's really focus on making this game something that people want to keep playing and want to spend money on. That's really, if I were the CEO, that's exactly what I'd be focused on. Is I want to find ways that people never want to stop playing it and always want to keep spending their money and feel good about it. Maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe it's not. I'm not really sure. But you can see this PvP match. This was a four-ish minute match. Okay, and that in my mind is a very, very fast match. Okay, I don't think it can get a whole lot quicker than that. So we're going to jump back in the game, but I just wanted to show and literally see you're doing that multiple times for just this one game mode. So I just showed you, a couple of the game modes that are pretty intense. We covered Blitz, we covered this PvP, and we talked about war, raids, more offers. We'll get into this a little bit, but, if you talk about reducing time in game, give me some simulation here for these raids. I think the Greek sliders that are incoming, Greek difficulty, if you're not aware of what that is, the Greek raids are supposed to get a difficulty slider similar to Ultimate 7.5. I'm just going to say it. I think that's extremely lazy. I'd look for more new content versus just doing the same stuff over and harder. People aren't necessarily looking... What that's going to do is cause anybody who's trying to be top 100, trying to be top 5, top 10, top spot, those people are going to continue to push against each other because they want those top rewards in the raid season. But as far as new content goes, it's not there. It's making something more difficult to make people who are already fighting against each other fight harder to keep going against each other, but it's not changing the actual game itself other than saying, oh, the stuff that you're already doing, I'm gonna make harder, so now you've got to work on getting these things to do the harder stuff so that you fight against each other to get the rewards for that harder stuff. But it's not necessarily giving you new content. It's just making you fight harder for the same stuff that you've been doing to get, maybe more rewards or whatever, but it's the same concept. You're not, there's not a new raid there, there's not a new boss, there's not a new dungeon, there's not a new tower that you're going against. I see these things, I worry, and then I see, ISO 8, Gear Tier 15, Level 80. These are 3 more things that are coming that are going to help us with that difficulty, but it's not going to necessarily, how are we going to get there, right? So, what I mean by that is, I don't have gold already to get to, level 80. You look at my roster, more offers, and it's like, okay, I've got a number of 75s because you got to get there for your Gear Tier 14 for Dark Dimension 4, and then I've gotten some that I've brought up just for raids or a second run of Dark Dimension 3, rather. And then you see these other ones. A lot of them are at 71. I had a couple 74s because I thought I was going to bring them there and then decided not to. And then you got your 67s, 65s, and they start falling off as you get lower here. And they just blitz timer because you got to do some more blitz. And I just, if hand gets a rework, okay, that's a bunch of stuff. If you got your Ravagers that get reworked, that's something. And then you got Hydra, which, and this is the part that frustrates me. Hydra probably was the epicenter of the war defense for the shortest amount of time. Meaning that this team was so much of a pain in the butt to beat. And people wanted to gear them so hard, so quick, because they just really seemed to be terrible. And it was immediately like, well, Black Bolt makes them go away. And then you got Symbiotes, and now you've got Zemo, and even Power Armor 2.0. And it's like, they were the most scary war defense for the shortest amount of time. And that concept of these things I just mentioned, Gear Tier 15, Level 80, ISO 8. So you're going to do these things to get a team, specifically in war, built up to be countered anywhere from a week to a month or 2 months. And someone goes, well, I'm already resource starved. Why am I going to necessarily resource starve myself for this team for a month or two? And I think at the tippy top, that probably does matter. You need to keep every team, and holy cow, I couldn't do that myself. Credit to all you guys who are doing that. But you just see, I don't have resources. I'd love to. My defenders are they stink. I didn't even bring them up. I stopped I've got a 6 red star Hydra Rifle Trooper here. I stopped at Gear Tier 10. I didn't even 7-star, even though he's 6 reds. I'm like, there's no point. It doesn't do anything. My Wolverine I stopped, even though he's not huge. And my Shield, my Squirrel Girl is solid. Cyclops I didn't do much with. These guys are pretty much the trash of everything you'll see at the bottom of everyone's roster. Electro, Swarm, and Beast I haven't built much at all. So you got these things coming, and these tunes that I already can't build up. And it becomes tough, right? So, and what the content coming is Dark Dimension 4, which I know there are people in my alliance, and I think we're about a top 100 alliance out there. Our CPs aren't gigantic, but they're decent. It's we're a top 100-ish. You got some 9s all the way down to what's our low, 7-4. And then you come here and you look at the leaderboard, and I don't know if it's, I don't even know where we're at. We're probably falling out. Okay, we're still in the top 100 technically, but it's barely, right? We're towards the bottom of the top 100. Raid season, we typically end the top 100. I actually haven't seen this. It ends in about 41 minutes. Okay, so we're doing pretty good in the raid. We're 39th. That's solid. So we perform higher than our CP. War season, that can range, right? The concept you're seeing here is, there's so much to do, so many different things to push, and a lot of it has to do with, I'm not sure why this isn't letting me find me, but yeah. So we're outside the top 100. We've been having a tough go on this rate or this war season. We had a few top 100s in a row, but it's kind of like, okay, when you look at it, what's the difference here? 10 T4s. Okay, well that's do a little bit better in Ultima 7 and get some boss nodes or whatever, and you're gonna make that up in a week, no problem. But people are still pushing for those season rewards. You want to get those wins in the war so that you can actually get the currency that you need to build higher. So again, I'm hearing from a bunch of alliances again that they're having struggles with keeping people engaged. People are getting burnt out. There's a lot of turnover. And I'm very similar to what I was seeing last year at Q4. And I'm hoping that we don't see a repeat of that this year. I'm, already mentioned the Greek sliders. I'm hoping a lot of this has to do with the Scopely article that I read, that they're trying to get a lot of engagement, get the funding, and then get some things kind of fixed up. But we've also got all these bugs. So a lot of people are getting frustrated with bugs, and I'm kind of like, all right. Now, the new players who are watching right now, you're probably like, what's this guy talking about? I love the game. It's great. Now, again, I've been playing for about 2.5 years, so my perception and experience is very dramatically different. But the question I'll ask all the new players as well, or newer players, 6 months to a year, is are you easily getting these new tunes, building them up, able to catch up on old tunes? Where are you at with all the gear and be able to get up? Where are you at with getting training mats, T2 mats, T3 mats, all those type of things to keep up? Gold, the orb situation where you've got premium and mega orbs with, and I'm still curious. I haven't looked at another offer. I haven't looked at these in so long, but just look at it for a second and, see who's still in here. Okay, we got AIM, Ant-Man, Mordo, who's in the store. Bullseye. These are premium orbs. Daredevil is in the store. Drax is in the store. Elektra, Gamora. More hand characters. Some of them you need because you can't get them in, certain nodes. But I want to feel like this is premium, like a Kree minion. This is a lot of minions. Luke Cage is in the store. So for me, I barely ever open some of these. It's like, what are we doing here? It's like, this is not a premium orb. Take 40% of these characters out of here and put them in the legacy orbs. it's not good. You know, you go, where's the Mega Orbs, which I never get or never even open. Where are those at? They're in here somewhere. There they are, Mega Orb. I don't even have one, and I haven't opened one of these in forever. Now, they're doing a decent job of trying to get characters out of here to make them more premium. So all those are solid. Those are all pretty solid. Heimdall, okay. You know, and it's like, okay, that's all pretty decent for a 100 shard drop for 10%. You know, you go here, same thing. American Shadow is not bad, okay. These are Mantis, maybe, M'Baku, you know, alright. Rescue, okay. Rhino, you know, these were a lot worse before, so they've done a good job at least getting some of the terrible characters out of here. So I'll give them credit here. I haven't looked at this one in a while, and I'm actually Miles Morales. Like, let's get Miles out of there. I mean, just take several out at a time. We don't need trash there. But you know what? Maybe other players are like, what are you talking about? Shut up! I need those. Okay, fine. My bad. You know, I'm wrong. That's maybe where we differentiate our experiences in the game. But I still challenge, like, how are you gearing these? How are you prioritizing everything? Is something going to change? Are you guys feeling this? Am I crazy? Have I been rambling on for 15 or 20 minutes or whatever it's been at this point for no reason? Probably. You know, it's just a game all in, at the end of the day when we've got COVID and all these different things going, you know, big civil unrest, at least in the States. You know, there are more important things going on in life. Yep, for sure. But, you know, a lot of us have come to this to escape, to have a good time. We want a fun time. We want an enjoyable time. And I know that can be difficult. So I'm here to hope and push and kind of say something and hope that we can kind of like start poking more at Scopely recognize, and, you know, maybe also for Alliance leaders and members, know that your Alliance folks are probably getting burnt out. Find ways to circumvent that to see if they can stick around so we can play the game longer. That's, I think, what everybody wants. I don't know. Anyway, if you're still here and listening, appreciate it. I hope this video at least helped you learn something, see something, maybe look at something in a different light. I hope you keep your Alliance together as best you can. If you want to come talk more, Discord's in the link below. Love to chat. Hammer down like button, subscription bell, notification, all those good things. And then even for you, Scopely, until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.